Hey folks, how you doing? My name is Tim Black. Welcome to a special edition of the Tim Black Show. Today, I'm welcoming back an old friend of the show, and I'm meeting a new friend of the show. And these guys are co-founders of some popular ice cream treats that you may know. Yes, folks, we're talking about Ben and Jerry. But we're not here to talk about ice cream. We're here to talk about what we need to do in order to melt police brutality in America. Let's talk about qualified immunity with Ben and Jerry. Hey, Ben and Jerry, how you doing?
I love it, man. Melt qualified immunity with Ben and Jerry. It's going to be our new theme. That's beautiful.
Well, you know, guys, I had to keep up with you, Ben, because we know how you are with a play of words. So I'm trying to get out in front of this thing with you.
Yeah, you're ahead. Now we're going to have to catch up with you.
Well, thank you. And Jerry, welcome, Jerry. Nice to meet you, sir. And wow, this is great. Can I just start off? I'd like to start off by saying, guys, for my audience, could you explain what qualified immunity is?
You know, it's essentially a get out of jail free card for cops. The theory of qualified immunity, you know, it's a judicial doctrine. The Supreme Court came up with it. The theory is that cops are not supposed to know the law unless there's been a case of some cop in the same jurisdiction previously who got convicted for breaking a particular law. I mean, it's absurd. I mean, we call these guys law enforcement officers, but the way it works is, say a cop brutalizes you. You want to sue that cop for violating your rights. So you go to court, you get yourself a lawyer, you go to court, try to sue the cop, and the judge is required to see if in the past, in your same jurisdiction, was there a cop who got convicted of doing exactly the same thing they did to you in exactly the same situation. And you know, there's never exactly the same situation. So it gets thrown out of court and the cop gets off scot-free. I mean, it is so ridiculous that there was a case where a cop actually did get convicted for sicking his attack dog on a suspect when that suspect had already surrendered. And then later on in the same jurisdiction, there was another guy who already surrendered and the cop sicked the attack dog on him. And so they said, well, we got this guy, took him to court, and the judge threw it out because the first guy, he surrendered by lying down on the ground. And the second guy, he surrendered by kneeling with his hands in the air. And the judge said, that's not similar enough. We're throwing the case out because of qualified immunity.
Horrific. And that's the story that I was that's the one that I ran into as well. So the difference between kneeling and laying down, the cop was unable to determine that these are the same things. These are both surrendering.
That's correct.
That's the way to look at it.
I mean, it is horrible. I mean, it's a lack of, it means that the police are not held accountable.
Right.
That they can violate the law, violate the Constitution, violate your civil rights, and they get off scot-free.
They get off scot-free.
So it's a fundamentally unfair and unjust policy, and it disproportionately impacts people in communities of color. And that's why we repeatedly see unarmed Black people abused, maimed, and killed with no accountability for the police.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what brings you guys, now I know they, audience, I want you to know that Ben and Jerry, they do a lot of activism work. They're involved very much politically. That's how I met Ben, formerly a co-chair of the Bernie Sanders campaign. I think he was a co-chair. I know he's a great surrogate for Bernie Sanders. But what brings you to this particular issue, Jerry?
So we, after the murder of George Floyd, there were incredible protests, people speaking out, and we became aware of an open letter that was written to Congress in support of a bill to end qualified immunity. And that open letter was written by the Players Coalition and signed by 1,400 professional athletes and front office people. And so we thought, well, we're in the business community. Maybe we can activate business leaders to support this bill as well. So Ben and I came out with a letter that was based on that letter from the Players Coalition. We got about 700 business leaders who signed it, and that got us on this journey to actually forming an organization and getting in touch with probably 16 advocacy organizations to partner on ending qualified immunity. And one of the interesting things about it is there is broad cross-ideological support. There's the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, there's the Leadership Conference, there's the ACLU, and then there's libertarians like the Cato Institute, the Institute for Justice. On the Supreme Court, Sonia Sotomayor and Clarence Thomas both oppose this. I'll tell you, anytime you get Clarence Thomas and Sonia Sotomayor agreeing on something, it's worth taking a look at.
You know, the interesting thing about those two is that, yeah, they're ideologically opposed, but they are the only members of the Supreme Court that are people of color, whose people have been borne the brunt of qualified immunity and police violence.
Yes, and that's ironic, but that's a good message to send to folks that we can work on different issues if people have an agreement. If people see the need for it, why not work across the aisle? That's what they sent them to Washington to do for our Congress people, and for activists. It's a good representation for them to see this as well. I was reading about a delegate from Maryland, Montgomery County, Delegate Janelle Wilkins. She sponsored this legislation. Have you guys worked with her as well?
Yeah, she's amazing. We just did this press conference with her, and a bunch of other people that she put together. She put together a great group of people, including victims, mother of a victim, lawyers, other politicians, a reverend, police commanders. It was a very, very powerful presentation that Janelle put together, and we're just so honored to be working with her. Once we are successful, and with your help, Tim, and the help of your listeners, we will be. Maryland will be the second state in the union to overturn qualified immunity. Colorado already has, and our campaign, the Campaign to End Qualified Immunity.org, or if it's too many words, CTEQI.org. We're working nationally to get qualified immunity overturned. And, if you want to help, just go onto the website, leave your address, your email address, and we'll get you hooked up. The everyday person is accountable for their actions, but we allow our police to use lethal force in our name. That's the only element of our society that we allow to use lethal force in our name. They should be held more accountable. And, sometimes we talk with the police and they say, well, if our officers are going to be held accountable for their actions, we're not going to be able to recruit officers. Mm-hmm. And my answer is that I don't want any police officers that are not willing to be held accountable for their actions.
What we say is love the good ones, prosecute the bad ones. Eliminating qualified immunity, the only people it will hurt are bad cops. So at the Campaign to End Qualified Immunity, We're clearly saying this is not anti-police. This is anti-bad police.
Hey, real quick before we let you go, can Apple or Amazon be like Ben and Jerry's, or are they just too big? Ben?
I think any company can be like Ben and Jerry's, to stand up for the things that our country is supposed to be about: justice, equality, fairness.
I heard you guys make some really bold statements. I think it was you, Ben. And you were saying if we're serious about police reform, this is a much needed piece to this reform, if that's what we want to do. Could you elaborate on that thought?
Ending qualified immunity is about accountability. It doesn't matter what kind of reform you put in place, body cameras, training, whatever. If you don't hold cops accountable for abiding by the training, abiding by the body cameras, abiding by the Constitution, you're just telling them, well, we're not really serious about it. You know, it's kind of a wink and a nod. I mean, you know, Jerry and I come from the business community. We understand if you don't have accountability, you ain't got nothing. I mean, I was just thinking this morning about a guy that we ended up having to fire, who was our production manager. And he was a great production manager, but there were 2 instances where he was sexually abusive. I mean, he wasn't like he was physically doing anything, but he was, you know, saying things that made women uncomfortable. And it was so hard. I was so sad that we had to fire him, but you have no choice. If somebody goes against your rules, you got to hold them accountable. And if you don't, then you don't really have any rules.
You know, so we've spoken with a lot of people who are concerned that police have a difficult job, which they do. They need to make split-second decisions, and won't this be a problem? And the fact of the matter is that without qualified immunity, police already have strong constitutional protections. They are protected if they make good faith, reasonable mistakes. You can make a mistake. As long as you're not intentionally breaking the law or intentionally doing something that's unreasonable, you already have protections. So qualified immunity, all it does is it protects bad cops. Good cops don't need it. And so we don't want to be protecting bad cops. You know, Ben and I have had a couple of conversations with the Fraternal Order of Police. We've had a conversation with the president of the Major County Sheriffs of America. And everybody agrees they don't want bad police on the force. Well, this is a way that we can get rid of them.
Oh, they agree. That's great. That's great. I mean,
yeah, they don't quite agree with ending qualified immunity.
And you're right. I do hear that pushback people give about, hey, you know, they're good cops, and you know, being a cop is a difficult job. Thing is, being a black guy is a difficult job too sometimes. You know, and going to the gas station at night. I was telling a story a couple of days ago. I'm an older guy, but if I put on a baseball cap, you know, I can go 10 years one way. You know, you think I'm a little bit younger guy. And when a cop does a double take, my heart does a double beat, you know, because I don't want to fit a description for something. And just having that feeling that you never know what's going to happen is really what it is. No matter who you are, no matter what kind of guy you are, no matter how nice you are, you can help ladies cross the street, you can be really good and pay all your taxes, but if you fit a description and which is breathing while black sometimes, you know, you can be in a bad situation due to no fault of your own. So, like, yeah, I get people, if you have a different relationship with police officers where you feel protected by them and you feel that they're there when you need them, you're going to look at this differently. Has there been much pushback from people in the business community? I know you said there's a lot of people in the business community that support it. Have there been some that were like, Jerry, get out of here with this stuff?
I think more often we run into business people who may not want to speak out on the issue because they feel like it's risky, or I don't even know what it is. And people ask Ben and me, why are you guys doing this? And as Ben has so eloquently said, this is not just a Black problem, this is a white problem. And white people in this country are the people that have the power. And if we want more racial equality, if we want more justice, white people need to be willing to speak out.
And we need to give cops some skin in the game, brother. That's the way I look at it. I mean, what would people do if there was no penalty? As you both stated so well, it's like if Dick Gregory, he's from Washington, D.C., and one of the people that I looked up to in truth-telling. Even though he was a comedian, he always spoke the truth from his vantage point. He was willing to make less money and be less famous in order to support civil rights. And he said the way you stop police brutality is you make cops have a license to be police, and when they get sued, it comes out of their pension.
Which is actually, that is an aspect of the law that's being proposed in Maryland. That, if a cop has broken the law, no, he should not get a full pension for life. That's part of the penalty too.
Yeah, but as we keep saying, this is not anti-police. This is not anti-cop. If you go to our website, you'll see right out there for police, love the good ones and prosecute the bad ones. We, there are many, many fine police officers who do incredible work above and beyond the call of duty. Those are not the people we're talking about.
Most cops never pull their gun out. Take Derek Chauvin, for instance, the officer that we saw kill George Floyd. I mean, his record as a police officer in Minneapolis was littered with allegations of misconduct and excessive force. 18 complaints were filed against him over his 19-year career. Some of the cops that this would pertain to have a track record.
Yeah, but and we certainly don't need to tell you, Tim, or anyone else, if you've been around the last few years, you just keep reading about more and more unarmed Black people who are killed and brutalized by police. It's not like it happens just once in a while. It happens far too frequently. Yeah, so, Ben mentioned the website that we're involved in, Campaign to End Qualified Immunity. And so we have recruited not just all these advocacy organizations, but we've recruited business people, athletes, performing artists, Killer Mike, Mark Ruffalo, Portia Williams, and we're going to be using our voices to try to influence public opinion, to try to talk about what the issue is. We know that there are people who are going to be working inside the Beltway, and they're going to be crafting the legislation. We feel like the best thing we can do is to try to communicate through popular culture, through former police officers, through musicians, through actors and actresses, through business people, through lawyers.
Tim Black.
Through Tim Black, that's right. Let's put Tim Black on top.
That's it, man. Use me, man. This is, man, you guys, man, you warm my heart doing this. And I know this is your country too. So this, like we said, this ain't a Black issue. This is a people issue. This is a humanity issue. But I mean, you guys make me excited, man. I feel proud to know you and the work that you're doing. Folks, I want you to go to the website. I'm going to have all the links in the description box below. The CTQI, but I'm going to get Ben to say it again. Go to the website.
CTEQI.org.
One more time.
CTEQI.org.
That's it, man.
Baby. You got a beat? You got a beat for me?
Look, back in the day, I would have some,
Scratching it. Yeah, scratch it for me. Oh, yeah. And we're coming out with a book, in the beginning of March, first week in March. There's a book coming out that tells the story of 17 people that got screwed over by qualified immunity. It's a really skinny book. It's easy to read. easy to, promote it to your audience. Some people, they're giving it away with a donation or a subscription to support the Tim Black Show. I mean, man, I tell you, if you were giving out that book in return for membership support for the Tim Black Show, man, membership support would be going through the roof. Killer Mike did the forward to it, and it's an amazing forward.
Wow. Anything that those guys are down with, anything you guys are down with, we are all Johnsons, and we're all interested in supporting it.
Me and my friends, we're all Johnsons too.
That's it, man. That's it.
All right.
So,
good to be Johnsons with you, man.
We'll just remind folks. So there's going to be legislation at the federal level, but also there's activity in the state of Maryland, New Mexico, New Hampshire, California. So if folks are living in those states, you can connect with your representatives and let them know that this is something that's important.
Absolutely, guys. And I have a call in with Delegate Janelle Wilkins to get her on the show as well. Right after you guys, I'm going to try to get her on to talk as well because, well, she's my homie, first of all, and I love what she's doing. So I want to keep this going. This is not a one-time thing. We hope to keep it going. And when people go to the website, what are they going to do? They're going to sign up, they're going to become members, or they're going to join a mailing list to find updates? What happens?
The main thing is that they just need to put in their email address. Okay. We will send them updates on the campaign, and we'll let them know exactly when it's important for them to write a letter to the editor, where we have a tool that helps you do it really, really quick and easy, or call your legislator, and just keep you up to date.
Yeah, use that people power, right?
That's the only thing we got going for us, man.
Well, look, I'm down with it, guys. Please keep me up to date with whatever's going on with this issue. And thank you once again, guys, for coming up. For zooming over and talking with me today, man. But that's it, guys. Ben & Jerry, co-founders of Ben & Jerry, the great ice cream, and they're doing some great work in this area of qualified immunity, trying to get rid of it. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you, Tim.
You got it. That's it, guys. Cut.
Don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. Don't be fooled by corporate media talking heads misleading the people. Get your news and information from an entity that keeps it real. Tim Black. Tim Black is the host of The Tim Black Show. Independent news that leaves you informed, inspired, and sometimes entertained, but always in the know. Go to timblacktv.com and sign up today. The Tim Black Show is news for people who can't stand the news. See you there.